When people watch Olympic Taekwondo today, one of the first things they notice is the front leg, the distance, the control, the timing, and a lot of people think that taller athletes have a better advantage because they're longer and because they're more flexible. But yes, having long legs helps. But what happens when you're not that athlete? Because that was me. My whole career, I was usually the shortest fighter in my division. I wasn't the athlete that could just lift my leg and keep someone away the entire fight. I had opponents that had longer reach than me. If we were standing at the same distance, they could hit me before I could hit them. So I had two choices. I could complain about what I didn't have, or I could learn how to use what I did have. And that's when I started understanding that the front leg is not only about flexibility, it's not only about kicking high, it's not only about being fast. The front leg is a tactical game. It's a way to control distance, a way to control reactions, and a way to decide what happens in the fight. Because as a shorter fighter, I couldn't afford to just run in. If I entered in too early, I would get stopped. And if I waited too long, I wouldn't be able to reach them. So I had to learn how to create that correct moment. And that's what I want to break down today. How I used my front leg as a shorter fighter, trying to open up holes and find places. How I used my front leg as a shorter fighter to create openings, to get inside and fight against athletes who had the physical advantage over me. The first thing that I had to understand as a shorter fighter was distance, because the distance wasn't the same for everybody. And this is where a lot of athletes make mistakes. They think if I can't reach them, they can't reach me. But when you fight someone taller, that's not true. There's a distance where you feel safe because you can't touch them, but they can still touch you. And that's the danger zone. That's their game. As a taller fighter, they want you to stay there. They want you right at the end of their front leg, close enough so that they can score, but far enough that you have to make a big movement to reach them. So for me, I had to stop thinking about only attacking. I had to think about, how do I take away the perfect distance? Because if I stayed outside the whole fight, I was letting them control me. And if I rushed in without preparation, I was giving them an easy counter. So I learned that my goal wasn't just to go forward. My goal was to make them uncomfortable. And it was the way that I was using my front leg to test the distance, small movement, small fakes, and changing the rhythm. I wanted to see, are they going to step back? Are they going to attack? Are they going to lift their leg first? Because once I understood that reaction, then I could choose what I wanted to do. So being shorter means that you have to be very good at entering and maneuvering that distance. A lot of people only think about getting inside. But what happens after? You enter, you attack, and then you stay there. Now, you're standing in the space where the taller athlete in the danger zone. So my game became enter at the correct time, score, and change the distance again. In and out, never letting them get comfortable. Because the fight isn't just about who kicks first. It's about who controls where the fight happens. One of the biggest things that changed my perspective was understanding that every movement doesn't have to be an attack. A lot of people think that I have to lift my leg, I have to kick, so I move forward. This is why the front leg is not only physical, it's mental. You're constantly collecting information, and that information tells you what decision to make next. But here's the mistake that a lot of athletes make. They fake without watching. They move without learning. And then they're so focused on what they want to do that they don't see what the opponent is showing them. Your opponent is giving you answers the entire fight. You just have to pay attention. Because once you understand their reaction, you don't have to guess anymore. And as a shorter fighter, this was one of the biggest tools that I had. I didn't have to have the longest legs. I just needed to understand the moment before they used theirs. Now let's talk about one of the hardest parts as a shorter fighter. How do you get inside a fight without getting stopped? A lot of people say you just need to close distance, but it's not that simple. When you're fighting somebody taller, every time you step forward, you're entering their weapon. Their front leg is always waiting for you. So if your only strategy is, I'm just gonna be faster, you're taking a big risk because speed helps, but timing beats speed. For me, I had to learn that I couldn't enter whenever I wanted. I had to enter when the opponent was not ready. And there are different ways to create that. Some expect you to go on the first try, or they expect you to wait. Then you go. You always do the opposite. All those little changes the whole thing up so much. You need to understand that you don't always attack the person. Sometimes you attack the space, but the goal is not always, how do I hit them? Sometimes my goal was, what is my takeaway from the distance? Because once I break that, now I'm not just fighting the fight anymore. Now they have to adjust. And that's what being shorter actually becomes an advantage. Because if I can get into my range, I can move faster in that small space. I can change directions and I can make them uncomfortable. The important part is don't admire your attack. This is a mistake a lot of fighters make. They finally get inside, they throw the technique, and then they stay there watching. The exchange isn't finished after you kick. You have to ask, what am I after? Am I still safe? Did I create a new angle? Did I create distance? Because against taller fighters, entering is only half of the game. Learning how to leave at the right time is what allows you to keep doing it over and over again. That was my style. In, out, change. Make them reset. Never letting them feel comfortable at the distance. Never making them feel comfortable. As a shorter fighter, I competed against many different countries: China, Chinese Taipei, Japan, all these countries from Asia, Korea, and I was always the shortest one. But I learned that if I was fast on my feet and I never stayed still, they were always so confused on what to do. So I just made it a point to not stay still, to go play, move around, fake, see what they want to do, and find that small millisecond to get in close distance and try to work in them. So now that we understand distance, timing, and reaction, let's talk about the do's and don'ts of the front leg game. The first, don't copy somebody else's style without understanding why it works. This is something I see a lot. When athletes see a tall fighter dominating a fighter with their front leg, they hold it up, they wait, and they stay at long distances. But they don't realize that that style works. It's because of that athlete's physical, their body type, their timing. So you have to build a style around your strengths. For me being shorter, that means I had to create movement. I had to create reactions. I couldn't just stand there and wait. Use the front leg with intention. Every time you lift your leg, there should be a reason. I might be stopping their attack. I might be making them react. Am I trying to get it inside the distance? Because if you keep showing the same thing with no purpose, a smart fighter will start reading you. The second, don't become predictable. One of the easiest fighters to fight is the athlete that always has the same rhythm, the same bounce, the same rhythm, the same timing. Even if they're fast, you can feel when they're coming. The next do, change the rhythm. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's pressure, and sometimes weight. The goal is to make your opponent uncomfortable, because when somebody doesn't know what's coming, they hesitate. And that little hesitation is that moment that you're looking for. Now the third, don't think that being shorter makes you have an automatic disadvantage. Yes, a taller athlete has advantages, but so do you. You can be faster, you can enter spaces differently, and you can make them constantly adjust. I learned that I didn't need to be the tallest fighter. I needed to become the fighter who understood space better. Because at the highest level, everybody can kick, everybody is fast, and everybody is strong. But the athlete who understands where and why to move, that's usually the athlete that controls the fight. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we will be talking more about distance, timing, and all that sweet stuff in the next video. Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here and say thank you so much for the support. I've been getting really good messages from many different people just saying that they liking the videos that I'm creating. I really want to be able to explain and communicate well to the other side of the screen. So that is my goal, is to be able to motivate and inspire you. If you're doing Taekwondo, keep it up, keep going. And also, if you wanted to get into a little bit more depth with Taekwondo tactics, I have a school course and it's in my bio. So don't be afraid to check that out. Also, my website, if you want to know a little bit more about my story and anything, it is all there. Like I said, thank you so much for the support and keep up the good work. See you on the next video. And remember, this is the internal method.